Olá, você que nos escuta, esse é o podcast Vida Intelectual, o seu podcast que acredita que uma vida bem vivida é aprender, aprender e aprender cada vez mais. Meu nome é Gustavo Martins, eu sou um dos hosts do Vida Intelectual, sou advogado, sócio do Mendonça de Machado Advogados e atuo na área de direito societário, com a parte inclusive de planejamento familiar. Estamos aqui hoje no Fórum 2025 do IEL de Gestão e vou ter a oportunidade agora de gravar com John Davis, um cara que é um AIS no assunto de empresas familiares. O bate-papo com o John vai ser todo em inglês, porque ele não fala português, mas o assunto com certeza vai ser muito interessante para todos vocês e espero que vocês gostem. I'm delighted to receive Professor John Davis, Senior Lecturer in MIT, in Family Enterprise. John has some books written. Some of them are Enduring Advantage, Next Generation Success, and Looking into the Future of Business Families. John, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Gustavo.
Awesome. Your work argues that family firms win on time horizon in trust and identity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what governance mechanism give the biggest return on resilience? Family council, independent board, or a strong owner's agreement? And why?
Well, all of those mechanisms help. But, in normal times, we're not in normal times.
Yeah.
But in normal times, there is still volatility, ups and downs. There are still changes in technology. There are changes in the world. There are changes in generations. There are changes, right? And so to withstand the ups and downs and the changes, you need to be resilient.
Yeah.
Now, this term, I think, is well known for individuals. We talk about being a resilient person. But we need to be a resilient country. We need to be a resilient company, right?
Yeah.
And so what are the ingredients in resilience? Well, first I would say it's financial resilience. If you have a strong balance sheet, if you're carrying enough assets and not very much debt, when things go up and down, especially down, you don't worry as much.
Yeah.
And you can maintain your game plan. You can maintain a long-term plan and vision.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but the same could be said about unity. The building of unity within our companies, but also within our families. That if we're committed to marching together, we have roughly the same values, but also we believe in where we're going. That's unity.
Yes.
It's really alignment. It doesn't mean we always agree, and it doesn't mean that we are harmonious, except that can help, obviously. But it does mean that we have the same kind of goals and values, etc. If you build unity, and that you have to build that over time. When you get in trouble, you can't quickly build unity, right?
Right.
So, and with enough unity, you can do this.
And it's okay.
Awesome. So financial resilience, unity resilience, I'd mention one other. Talent resilience. That you need to build the bench of talent in your company, but also talent in your family. Because when things change over time, and you're going to need to make some moves in some different directions. So one of the it used to be things didn't change as much, and we didn't change our direction as much. So we didn't need to change the essential talent that we wanted to have as much.
Awesome.
But now you've got to build a wider bench and really try to build a deeper bench. So if you lose people or you change direction, you can keep going.
Awesome.
So resilience is helped in all of those ways.
Awesome. Really, really awesome.
Yeah.
And we see it in Brazil. We have this number that says that fewer than 3% of the companies gets to the third generation. And we see that in Eastern countries, we see like companies going through like 10 or 20 generations and keep going. What do you think is the main difference between Eastern companies and families? And
Well, actually, there's not much difference. It used to be, historically, that in Europe, companies were in more protected markets.
yep,
You know, you would compete locally or regionally, but you didn't have as many competitors. So that allowed your company to stay alive longer, even if you didn't have very strong leaders. If your company is pretty protected, it's, you know, you can screw it up, but it's harder, you know?
yeah,
And so the market conditions or, you know, competitive threats, that matters. Now, worldwide, there aren't very many protected markets. And more companies are competing not just locally, but much broader than that.
Yeah.
Right? And many companies today are actually competing globally. So that's affecting the life of companies and how long family companies last. Now, but you mentioned specifically companies in Asia, Eastern companies, right?
right,
There are a few companies in Asia, mostly in Japan,
yeah,
that have existed a long time. But if you look at those companies, they have two things that have helped that process. One is they're in an industry with products that last a long time, like
right.
being in the hotel business. There have been hotels around for over 2,000 years, you know, but also things like bread and wine and construction. These are things that have been going on for a long time. They have what we call a long product life cycle.
Yeah.
Most of the long-lasting companies have those. There's a society called the Hinokians,
Right.
and it's based in Europe, but they take in companies that have survived 300 years.
That's more.
Long time.
And no, sorry, 200 years. 200 years. That's still a long time. And most of the companies in the Hinokian society, and the oldest are from Japan, but most of the companies, including some Italian wine makers, a long product life cycle. We've been drinking wine for thousands of years.
Yeah.
So have these long product life cycles. But in Japan, they also had this interesting feature in their family where they had a practice where if your son wasn't capable of leading the business, you would marry your daughter to a competent young man, and just before the wedding ceremony, you would formally adopt him into your family. So most of the long family businesses in Japan did that. And so, you know, the business conditions allowed it, and the family practices also allowed it.
Awesome.
You know? So, but other than that, Gustavo, around the world, family companies are lasting about the same length of time. It's remarkable. I've been, you know, now studying but also advising family companies for almost 50 years.
Awesome.
And over those 50 years, the world has changed a lot.
Right.
And one of the ways in which it's changed is that globally, we've become a lot more alike.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, technology affects everybody.
Right.
Everybody's trading with other countries. Markets have expanded. people are living about the same length of time. You know,
Yeah.
there are some cultural differences, but they're not many.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Really nice. And how should families select the new CEO? They should look firstly inside of the family, or they should look in the market, so the family would have like part of looking into strategy, into values, and leave the managing to someone
Yeah.
that's outside from the family.
It's a very good question, and it's on the minds of many of the families that I know and work with. So, you know, the easiest answer, which isn't satisfactory, is it depends, right?
Yep.
Because if you have a company that needs a lot of change, you're more likely to find that change out there. If you're in a company that needs to innovate and grow and so forth, but you don't need to shake things up much, it's typically better to stay inside, either with family or non-family. So this is actually a research topic of mine.
Awesome.
And what you find is that whether you go inside or outside, family or non-family, there are 4 choices there.
Yeah.
They all have some pros and cons, right? But whether it's going to work or not depends a lot on the company and what it needs.
Awesome.
So that is the real answer to your question, because it does depend. You know, if you're approaching a succession transition, you need to step back and say, where is this company going? What does it need in terms of leadership? And where can we find it? Where can we best find it? And even though this is not comfortable in families, you need to look at your options.
Yes.
That's the real answer.
Really nice. Really nice. And when we look into the 3-circle method, how could you explain the 3-circle method for someone that's not used to the term and to the subject as well? And when we look into the 3-circle
This
method,
3-circle
how could you
model that
explain
I
the
and my
3-circle method
mentor,
for someone that's not
when I was your age,
used to the term and to the subject
developed.
as well?
All it says, but it says something very clear and powerfully, that a family business needs to be understood in terms of the family that owns it and also typically is involved in it, at least at the board, but usually in leadership. You know, if you don't understand the family and in particular the owners of this business, you don't understand enough. So we talk about not just the family business, but the family business system. And that's what these 3 circles capture. And it's just a reminder, you know, if you really want to understand how it works, why it works well or why it doesn't work well, you have to look at all 3 circles and then understand how they're affecting each other. That's the purpose of that.
Awesome.
Simple. Most good theories are very simple.
Yeah, I'd say even though you say it's simple, I think it's really, really powerful.
Thank you.
It is.
Thanks.
And when we look into professionalization without killing culture, do you have any tips for the first executive hired from the outside? If some company decides that they need someone from the outside for a drastic change, do you have any tips for this person that's coming into a company that is not from his family?
Yeah. One is take your time and make sure that they are, if you're bringing in somebody that is there to change things, and most companies today are.
Yep.
You know, things are changing. We have to change. Who can help us change? She looks pretty good. Let's talk to her. It's funny. When family businesses pull somebody in from the outside, most of their first choices, the first time they try it, more than half the time it doesn't work. They'll stay for a year, maybe 2 years, too much tension, too much disagreement about why to do this or that. Not, and so you're looking for somebody that can change things, but respects the essentials in a family business and demonstrates that respect.
Nice.
Because they will change parts of the culture. The company needs to change some things that it's doing. Otherwise, it wouldn't adapt, it wouldn't grow, it wouldn't be modern, right? But you need to be careful that some of the things that the family really believes in, if you're going to change those, you need to be very, very open to talking with the family, not just the management team, but the family that owns this business, about what needs to change in your view and why, and how we should go about doing it. Because families don't appreciate abrupt changes.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. That's right.
Right? It's better to take it slower and get there than to try to make it fast, typically. Unless there's an emergency or, we're hemorrhaging money,
It's really nice.
then we have to move fast.
And you think that it's easier for someone from the outside to do those changes than from someone on the inside? Because I have a lot of friends that their family owns businesses and they're willing to get the succession done. And I see their fathers and mothers saying, "Oh, I've been doing this my whole life. It's gonna be this way. We're gonna keep this way." And they're willing to get there. They're willing to change stuff that they believe it's better. But there's a conflict on terms of view. And I don't know if the same conflict happens when it's someone from the outside and on the inside, because I feel like that the family has this little bit of more. They can talk some things that they wouldn't do with someone from the outside. So you feel like that's a huge difference?
Look, historically, again, most changes that have happened in family companies have happened because of the next generation, the younger generation. That's been true for hundreds of years. And you can go back and look at family company histories and see that, okay? It's not that surprising. Younger people will have not only different ideas, but in some ways they may be more familiar with markets, with trends, with technology. And so I want the next generation to bring the change, okay? So, no, you don't have to go outside to get it. If your next generation is being well prepared and engaged and smart about what's needed, they can be a great source of change in the company. But just like the outsider, the next generation has to show respect for what the previous generation did.
Awesome.
And what's fascinating about families is that the generations are not very good at demonstrating appreciation.
That's right.
Within the family.
That's right.
They may feel it, but they're not very good at demonstrating it. And these kinds of changes start with demonstrating appreciation and then talking about what we need to change.
Awesome. Really awesome. One last question, because I think our time is ending. As I told you, this podcast is about books and articles. So I would like to ask you to recommend 2 books for our listeners. One of your books and one that it's not yours.
Okay.
Tough question.
No, it's good. It's good. I would say that my book, Enduring Advantage,
Yep.
is a good book to read.
It's a collection of essays, right?
Collection of essays. Yep. And I'm writing another book now on explaining my theory of long-term success.
Awesome.
And it's some of that is contained within Enduring Advantage, so you
Really
can
nice.
get the high level some of the ideas there. So I'd really recommend that, and look for my next book that'll come out.
Of course.
But you know, the other books that I'm paying attention to now, reading and really like, are books that, and there are a few on the market now, that talk about how our attention has been stolen by not just social media, not just, although that's having a big impact on, because it not only finds a way to appeal to us, but then puts us on a path. They know how to prompt us to pay attention, right?
That's right.
And so there was a book by a guy named Chris Hayes. I want to say it's Stolen Attention, but I'm not sure that that's the title. Excellent book. And but there are a few others too. These are really important books to read, because we're not going to be able, as human beings, we're not going to be able to really focus on what's coming at us if our attention is being diverted and
right.
taken away from us, right? We have to recapture our own attention and then start looking around. And to do that, we have to know how to tightly regulate the amount of social media that we pay attention to. You know, and if you don't have the strength and the courage to turn it off and let yourself think, you're going to be kidnapped.
It's nice. John, thank you so much for your time. I think
Pleasure.
I've learned a lot. I hope everyone gets to know you a little bit. John's books can be found on Amazon in Brazil as well. You can buy them for your Kindle and anything. So, John, thank you again. It was really nice. Thank
My
you so
pleasure.
much. Thank you so much.